Beyond Breaking Points with ME7. This week we are at Spa, and the first corner we're coming up on is extremely important. You see, after I round this corner, 25% or 1/4 of the total distance of this race will take place in just 20 seconds. So your braking and acceleration point are incredibly important back there, and then going through Eau Rouge and Radillon back in that midsection are extremely important. And we'll get more into that later. This section here, extremely technical. It's taken me a long time to feel comfortable in that section that we just went through. Now, this hairpin here, not much to it, but you can often get back to the throttle sooner than you think. This section, again, some people do a lift and coast. I brake a tiny bit. I just can't get the hang of the lift and coast thing. Into this section, Pouhon Corner is a lovely place to go flying way off track like we have all done so many times, but the next area we're coming to is where I've recently been making some gains, as you can see on my Ghost. Then we have another very important braking point because this next section represents 22% of the distance of this track. So if you get into the throttle late, you can see, based on my Ghost there, you're going to pay for it all the way. Here you are greatly suffering if you run with assists, and more on how to get around that later. Now, the last chicane. Boy, this is where I've lost half a second sometimes. Tricky, and boy, there's my run, and it's a really good run. Not the best there is, but it scrapes me into Group A. So I want to get this out to you guys sooner than later so you've got some time to work with these tips that I'm giving you. Let's dig a bit deeper into these things. Right now we're just going to get into some tips. If you run with assists, after you round this corner, you should turn them off for a bit. And I'm going to show you what happens here. Top one is low assists, middle one is no assists, bottom one is high assists. Watch what happens as I go through the Eau Rouge Radillon section. Eau Rouge is actually the quick left, Radillon is the longer right. Now look, you can see how things have already been gapped out, and I'm going to stop each car at the exact same point on the track so you can see the differences. So first car stops, 0.879 with low, 2.703 with high. That is substantially slower. Now let's get on to the next thing. Off-track limits. This is how I find how far I can push the car. I'm still on track. Okay, well, let's see how far we can go till we're off track. When are you off track in this game? Whenever the game says you are. So, this is considered off track. Okay, when are you on track in this game? Whenever the game says you are. It doesn't really matter what real track limits are. What matters is what the game says, and that's what we need to push as far as we can. That is on track. And then I go on and I do this to the next corner and so on and so on. Now here's my run. These are the braking points I'm using. There's a little tiny shadow going across the track, and I start braking just after it. Into the throttle at the midpoint of the corner, I often lose it right there. If you run with assists, pause, turn them off. You could leave your steering on. So you can go through this, and you can actually even shave a little bit of time. Now, pause, turn them back on again if you need to. Now watch the shaded sections. There's a big shaded section. I'm going to slow this down. Second shadow after that one is where I'm starting. Go to the left, but try not to go off track. Go to the right and do get two tires way off track. Immediately head left. You're going in a little bit deeper than you think you have to. That's so you stay full throttle through that corner. I'm braking a couple of car lengths past that. And then just as the car starts to go out to the left is when you can get into the throttle again. I do a very quick braking point here. I just can't get the hang of lift and coast. And this is going to sound funny, but as my car is landing, I'm in the air. As I'm landing, I'm on the brakes for very little in this car, honestly. It takes a while to get the hang of. First sign, when my front end is in line with that, I'm on the brakes. Steering sooner than you think to the right. Now you could do a lift and coast here. I can't get the hang of it. I'm happy with this. Look on your left. I'm braking right around there, maybe a pinch, actually a pinch earlier, about a car length earlier now. I've adapted this a little bit, but that's a good visual marker. Here, you should be pausing and turn off brakes and traction again. You don't need them to take this corner. Then you quickly have to pause and turn them back on or ride the rest of this without it. That's the last shaded section before the yellow-red rumble. You got to cut this very close, and that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, and that is the basis of what I'm working with. And as you know, as you already saw, this gets me into Group A, but look what happened a few minutes after this, or about an hour. Wow, that's not enough. However, I kept working on it using what I showed you, and I've got this now, and this is really good. So, here's some other links that you might find interesting. Please subscribe if you like what you're seeing, and thank you for joining me.